Hi, my name is Jessica, and I am a life coach for people that have experienced betrayal trauma. So, I am going to talk about a very specific dynamic when it comes to betrayal. So, I'm going to be talking about somebody that is an empath and somebody that is emotionally immature. So, the person that is an empath gets betrayed by a person that is emotionally immature. In my experience, this is a fairly common relationship dynamic, especially when it comes to betrayal. I did make some notes, some brainstorming things, and I'm going to be referring to my notes so my brain isn't going on a bunch of random tangents because that is a habit that my brain tends to do. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to be talking about traits of an empathetic person and how that can affect you if you are the empathetic person and you are in betrayal. And then in the second part of the video, I'm going to be talking about traits of an emotionally immature person and what that looks like in betrayal. And then at the end, I'll just kind of summarize and put the two together. So I'm just going to read off of the list that I had brainstormed for traits of a person that is an empath. So they're highly sensitive to other people's emotions. They're deeply compassionate, easily overwhelmed in crowds. They're intuitive, or they just know. They have a strong desire to help others. They're emotionally absorbent, and they can easily be hurt. They tend to avoid confrontation. They struggle with boundaries, and they have a strong moral compass. Now, I'm just going to kind of break that down, not line by line, but I'm just going to kind of summarize what it's like because of those traits when you're going through betrayal. And this can be any type of betrayal. I tend to focus on heterosexual relationship betrayal, but it does not have to be that dynamic. This is literally applicable to any relationship in your life, okay? So when you are an empathetic person and you experience betrayal, it is literally on a soul level. It feels like it is earth-shattering, okay? It's not just like a little inconvenience. It is actually affecting your entire body and soul. So what that means is it's literally shaking your entire sense of safety, because now you're not just mistrusting the world around you because you don't know what's safe. You're now not trusting your own self because your intuition wasn't protecting yourself. For somebody that's not necessarily an empath, they might be able to compartmentalize and sort of say, like, betrayal is just part of what happens in life. Yeah, it sucks, but it doesn't necessarily consume them on the same level. Similarly, a non-empathetic person or non-empath, I hate to say non-empathetic because I like to hope that most people have some level of empathy. But if you don't identify as an empath, you might be able to say betrayal is like a learning experience. You might be able to learn from it and you grow and you move on. But if you are an empath, you're a little bit more inclined to like internalize this betrayal and sort of self-blame. You think that it's your fault, that you're not good enough, and that's why this has happened to you. You start asking questions like, how could I have prevented this? What did I miss? And you start second guessing everything. And then that's when your walls go up and you start looking at everything around you and wondering what else is a threat. What did I miss? What else is there around me that is also a threat that I'm missing? And then probably the last thing that I'm going to talk about for now for empaths is when it comes to rebuilding trust. For an empathetic person, because it is on such a soul level, they really struggle to open up again and trust again. Even if the person that betrayed them, if they're trying to rebuild that relationship and the person that they're staying with is doing everything by the book and they're doing everything they need to do to prove that they're changing and they are trustworthy, they are still going to have that seed of doubt in their mind it's going to be very, very hard for that person to ever completely trust again. Somebody that doesn't identify as an empath is more easily able to forgive and trust again with consistency over time. Okay, so now I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit, and I'm going to talk about some traits of a person that is emotionally immature. The number one biggest thing is they're going to avoid taking responsibility and justify the cheating or the betrayal by saying something along the lines of like, I wasn't getting what I needed. Or they're going to blame others for their feelings, specifically you, and they're going to say something along the lines of, you were not giving me what I needed, or you're not good enough, so I had to do X, Y, and Z. I had to cheat on you because you were not giving me what I needed. Another common trait is poor emotional regulation. So during times of stress, they can be really impulsive and seek out comfort outside of their relationship, whether it's in person or pornography or whatever the betrayal is. They're seeking comfort or validation outside of the relationship because they have poor emotional regulation. They are not able to come to you as their partner and talk to you about the things that they're feeling. It's easier for them to just seek a connection with somebody else that is not as meaningful. Another common trait for people that are emotionally immature is that they fear intimacy or vulnerability. So in a situation like this, they might be avoiding real closeness by sabotaging the relationship, either consciously or unconsciously. Another common trait is that they are not well equipped to handle conflict constructively. So instead of resolving issues with their partner, they might escape into an affair or an emotional connection. Another common trait is jealousy or possessiveness. So they might justify cheating on you as a way to like get even, you know, like if you did something that they think is a mistreatment, they might justify their betrayal, even if it's like not even on the same level. They might justify it as like, oh, well, like you looked at this man, so like I'm gonna go sleep with this woman. They're so jealous that they betray you, and that is very obviously emotional immaturity. The last one I'm going to talk about, I'm trying to hurry so I don't run over on this video, was difficulty apologizing or admitting fault. So this sort of comes full circle and relates to the first thing that I was talking about. But even after the betrayal is discovered, this person that is emotionally immature is going to have a really hard time admitting that what they did was wrong. They're going to minimize it. They're going to justify it instead of taking full ownership of what they did and seeking repair in the relationship. So that was sort of everything that I had brainstormed initially. And I just kind of want to wrap it up real quick and just say that just because you are somebody that is an empath, if you were betrayed by somebody that is emotionally immature, it is going to be very, very difficult to rebuild a relationship with somebody that cannot take accountability, does not have remorse, and is not able to own what they did to you, okay? So if this is the dynamic that you are living in, I would highly, highly recommend that you reach out either to a life coach like myself or you seek out therapy. I have resources that I would be more than happy to share with anybody that needs them or wants them. I know the reality of living that life. It is not easy. I know that firsthand. And that's all I have time for, so please take care.